Hey everybody, it's Nick Inman, founder of VolumeProfileTrader.com on December 16th. And looking at the S&P, we're kind of doing, expect the expected in a way where you get these ebb and flows, 4 or 5 days up, 3 days down. Really, I think the point is at the end of this, only one day, 2 days, did we really break out of this range or trade out of this 1425 down to 1400 range. We busted through that for a day, closed strong, and then the next day we got that reversal and back down. So you want to take note of that. Just realize that the market really hasn't changed, and until we break down below 1400, you take it for what it's worth, and you realize that the market's doing what it's doing, really waiting on, in my opinion, the fiscal cliff. On an hourly chart, we're looking at the 90-day point of control. We're back into that range. Continue to look at it. I want to go back to a daily really quick just to show you. 50-day, 20-day are all in this range, so just be aware that 200's basically the bottom of the Bollinger Band. We could see that. So 1384 could be, a downside target. 1400 point of control for the year, and then 1425 or so on the upside. Value area high 1419, 1420. It's all right in this range, and I think it continues to say that a big move is going to happen. We're just waiting on the fiscal cliff. So what I'm going to do from here is look at the names that I mentioned last week and kind of get a feel for where we were and the trading opportunities that came from them. Because I think you're going to be, rather impressed. So Apple, I think the trade was, and so this was on the 7th, that was the last day when this video was made as far as these names were mentioned. So Apple, I think I just mentioned that we're back at the bottom of the range and that I missed the trade. And, you did get opportunity, but until Friday when we broke through. So, whatever. Apple's being Apple right now. Freeport, I said you probably get a bounce from the bottom end of this range. You did. You had to get one more flush out day, and then we saw a fill. So you went basically from the lows of 30, 50. If you got in, it would probably been on the second day. Maybe if you have a loose stop, you're in at the first day somewhere. But that trade's profitable now. Regardless if you bought at the top on the first day, you're in profit range, and I think you continue to watch this, see if it can retrace to the 20 or to the 20-day, something along those lines. See what it can do. If it can punch through 34, if it can, it could run for a little bit, another dollar or two. So just be aware of that, and if you did take the trade, it was a nice one. All right, Nike mentioned this. 200-day was right there. Clearly, it's showing to be resistance. The trade idea was off of this 20-day point of control. See if you can get up to the 200 and then potentially break out. Well, right now we're not getting that, so that that one didn't work. Starbucks. Let's see. Let's get the right ticker. Starbucks. Now this is one that we got long back in this range, I think it was sub $50, or it was just north of 50, and now we're seeing a sideways consolidation on light volume. That's what you want to see. Let's see if this thing can continue higher. Let it do what it's going to do, and kind of go from there. So this was a good one. Texas Instruments. This was a good one. You got your breakout on the 11th, and your move higher. So the 7th, when this was covered, 29, call it $30, moved up 3%, 4% in the week's time, so not too bad of a trade there. Bank of America, I'm not, let's see, the 7th, I'm not really sure why I mentioned that, but it was probably because I was looking at JP Morgan and also more specifically Morgan Stanley. Now the trade on Morgan Stanley was, you have this squeeze going on, this Bollinger Band squeeze right at the point of control. You got your resolution to the upside, so around 1750, get long $18 plus. It's trading right now, so you have about a 5% gain, unless if you got in at earlier levels. If you got in around 17, then obviously you have a dollar gain. That's pretty good on a $17, $18 stock in one day, or excuse me, 1 week. All right, letter X. Members, we got long this yesterday, or Friday I should say, and it got long sub $23, sent out the alert. It jumped quick. I got filled at $22.95 and $23.10, and this thing continued going. I'm looking for higher prices. This thing, and I'll bring up why I'm looking for it. Bear with me 1 second. And the reason why I'm looking for these levels are because we have what's called, virgin or naked point of control for the month. We have no volume up here, so this thing should continue to run $25.50 to $26. If you want the exact level, it's $26.65. I have limits right below there, so just realize that, take advantage of it, and hopefully this thing keeps moving. I still have my stop under the current month's lows, which are around 21, and then I have another stop right below, this little consolidation range. So seeing where it wants to go, now we're just going to use the average true range stop and go from there. So that's another one that outperformed. Similarly, Caterpillar, performed well for the week. It was down around just above this point of control. Guess what? 5 straight higher lows and higher highs for the week. So another good trade there. And let's see. Cerner. Now this is one you really still have a Bollinger Band squeeze, but on the 7th, we looked at it around $78. You got as high as 81 and change, and then we've pulled back from there. So you would have probably got stopped out at a break even or something around those lines. But this is still in a squeeze, so you can continue to keep this on your radar and kind of see where it goes. DirecTV, similar situation. You had your squeeze on the 7th. You had your move higher for a couple of days. It just didn't work out. 50 days holding as resistance. See what it does, but keep an eye on these Bollinger Bands. They're squeezing, and you want to pay attention to that. Let's see, not AT&T. Alright, Microsoft, your trade was the bottom end of the range to the top end. You got that trade. That was successful. Another winner, so that's what you want to see. But, that was the trade. There was nothing more to that. Now you just let it consolidate, let it do what it's going to do. So now I'm going to go into some, indexes other than stocks. I'm going to go into currencies, commodities, and bonds to see what the rest of the global markets are doing. The dollar breaking down below its point of control, so we got a nice 2 or 3 day bounce off of those levels, and now we're closing that range. So if I can, let's see, I'll just bring it up like this on a line chart. So we tried to retrace to this high volume area, well, let's do it like this. Alright. We did retrace to this high volume area. Guess where that big spike up went to, the point of control for last month. I'm going to bring this down a little bit so we can see it better. Alright. Almost got to the point of control for the last month on the hourly. We broke down. Notice we broke through the 90-day point of control, and then it held as resistance. You want to be aware of stuff like that. Now we're at the bottom end of the range for the month. This should continue lower, and the reason why I say that is because the euro is making new highs. So what we've seen on the euro is since last month, we've seen a breakout from the bottom end of this range, this big high volume area, a breakout. Point of control for the year. Let's get to it. Point of control for the year, we faded that move. We made pretty nice profits on a $1.50 option. We took profits around $1.95 or so, and then $2.50. Well, guess what? This thing's continuing higher. Light volume for the last 3 days. Looks like then a short squeeze, so pay attention to that and realize that we are at new highs, but we're right there, and you want to pay attention to that. Just be aware of where the market is, and you'll be okay. Alright, so that's that. Oil, now this is, I still have an upside bias towards this thing until we break down below this point of control for the year. So say we have to break $85 or so most recently for me to get negative on this, and the reason why is because point of control for the year at the bottom end of this 1 year range, that's what I want to be a part of. I wish there was a better way to play oil, other than, buying and selling futures, which is tough for most of us. USO I considered flawed. However, if you do want to participate in something like this, just know what's going on. You do have those front month problems where USO has a downside bias. But if you want to do like a covered call position on USO, that's fine. The ETN oil, I don't know too much about that, so I'm not going to give you my opinion there. ConocoPhillips, that does a pretty good job of tracking the price of oil. You can see it's outperformed. We've had a pullback from these highs, kind of expect the expected, right? But overall, this looks like a name, and if I zoom out some so we can see, a name that's been in a tight consolidation pattern. This triangle failed. Let's see. So maybe redraw it, kind of make it look something like that, however you want to do it. As long as it stays above 54, I think you want to stay long. So we're just kind of in a range, in my opinion, right now. Just take it for what it's worth and kind of ride the wave. All right, ConocoPhillips, whatever. Well, now gold. Now this was a trade, and it really just didn't work out. I didn't try to get long gold, failing against the point of control for the year. Something to take note of, but we are at the bottom end of the range. Something to take note of. So what we'll do is we'll just connect these lines and say as long as it's under this trend line, we need to be cautious from the long side. As long as it holds this trend line, at least you have your risk defined. But we tried to take a trade in silver, and it just didn't work. I don't know why. It got crushed. Try to get long silver, off of this level here, and the reason why was because we were really making a nice move to the upside. Big volume on Bernanke, and whether it's going to keep running, who knows. Clearly it didn't, and we literally the next day it gets crushed and it moves on. It just didn't work out. Luckily we didn't buy too big of a position, but a loser's a loser, and we live, we learn, and we move on. So let's cut our losses and not deal with it anymore. Copper, a nice trade off the point of control for the year about a month ago. Now we're at the top end of the range. We're hovering above all the moving averages, so I guess that's what you want to see from a bullish standpoint. However, when has that really mattered? We got above it in September, didn't really matter. So here in October, December, does it really matter? And you have to say no, in my opinion. You trade off of big volume areas, so this point of control for the year, that was a good trade to 370 where it's trading now, basically the bottom end, the middle of this range, but that's it. And whether you continue, you want to trail your stop, however you want to do it, that's up to you. Like the Freeport thing, that's working out, but it had a fundamental news that really battered the stock, and that was it. And now you're seeing a ride higher on Freeport. I'm not saying Freeport and copper, move equally or correlated well or anything. But what I am saying is you just want to pay attention to that, because if copper prices are higher, then obviously Freeport can sell it for more. Now, obviously, you have the demand side of that also, so you just want to be aware of that. All right, Treasuries, 200-day moving average, basically back down to this, trading zone. I think you buy the dip here. TLT, I just think you buy the dip. You set your stop below this 122 level, and you sell it around 126, maybe even higher. So just be aware that this thing could go to 127 again, but you're at a level where it's been right to be a buyer. So just keep that in mind and use it to your advantage. Same thing with the 10-year. However, I would be more lenient, or I'd be a buyer of 30-year over 10-year, just because, hey, the Fed's buying 30 years. So Anyways, really that's it. Oh, I actually had two more names. Goldman Sachs. Again, the squeeze here that's going on, point of control for the year. Just be aware of it. And if we pop, we're going towards 125, 126. So a potential trade, if you're an options trader, buy the 120 by 125 call spread. It'll probably cost you around $2, and you let it work for you. If it doesn't work for you, set your stop loss at $1. So what that does is you have a potential to make $3 and you're risking $1. So, you can't really complain about that as far as the risk reward goes. And this looks like something that wants to move higher on an hourly chart, monthly profile. Now, from this standpoint, I'm going to say you have an inside month, and you want to be aware of that. But that pretty much means that an inside month basically leads to an outside month at some magical moment. I'm assuming that, and I could be wrong about this, but this is some type of false print down here. But regardless, we see our ceiling. So consider this your trading range. If we start to break up to the top with good volume, maybe you take the risk, you put on that call spread, you buy some shares, whatever the case may be. Your average true range stop is around 117. Just watch it, keep it on your radar, and maybe you get a short to back down towards 115, 114. You never know. So that one and Boeing. This is one that I've been keeping on my radar for a while. I haven't taken any action, but you can see what's going on here. We have a tight consolidation pattern going on, and eventually it's going to break out. It should. Whether it's now or a year from now, who knows? But it could. And if this is something that you want to get involved in, buy a fifth of a position. Therefore, you're involved. It's on your screen and you're watching it. So, anyways, take care. Have a great weekend. Hope this helps. Members, check out the forum for more price levels that you need to be watching. Take care. Have a great one. And I will talk to you next time.